Hey guys, today I'll be trying to give you a better understanding of the human body and how to draw it more properly. As I've seen a lot of people are struggling with that, so I decided I might as well do a video just to help people out. So, fully grown body has about 8 heads, which for women is slightly smaller than male just because their chin is rounder and it's not that big, so it creates that half a head of gap between them, but that's not such a big of a deal. The things I'm gonna talk about are gonna apply for both of them. So let's begin by first thing saying that the legs are about us, us take as much as half of the body height. So the end of the hips you're gonna be reaching approximately 4 heads, okay? Now at the 2 head mark we see where the joints of the legs are meeting, and that's pretty important, otherwise your legs are gonna be just I just cannot explain, but they're gonna be looking very stiff. Your hands, let's talk about that later, okay? Let's first finish with the legs. So the first part, the first 2 heads are gonna be going until the joint, so you're gonna have that and that muscle, and from then on until the end of the hips you draw the end of the hips at 4 heads. That rules apply for both genders. So now let's move on a bit higher, okay? So the body itself is about 3 heads. You can do it a bit smaller, but 3 heads is generally what you must aim for, so that's why. So from the hips, let's look at that part, okay? So from the hips till the end of the breasts are approximately 2.5 heads, and I mean that area, around that area. So those are 2.5 heads. Now then a little bit under 7, like I would say 2/3 of a head. You need to start drawing your arms, and they're just gonna barely go over the hips. I would say about, it should meet your third head, okay? About this area. So once again, that apply for both genders. So whatever I said for the male variation that I've shown on would work the same way on the woman body. Now I know anatomy is a bit hard and there are not a lot of tutorials, but think in shapes, okay? Just simplify your character into the main shapes, which are triangles, spheres, and gosh, I forgot the third one in English. Nice. But you're gonna use mainly those to simplify the pose of your character, the stand that you want him to take. and afterwards you are gonna start breaking it down more and more, so it comes as close as this. Now, another thing I wanna talk about is age to height ratio. Uh, so let's first start with the youngest. From 0 to 3 years, you're gonna have um, 2 heads of height at the end of the second to third year. Now the same leg to body and head ratio doesn't work. As you can see, it's not half-half. That's because human heads bigger than bigger than their body, and that's why they have big heads when they're small, and that ratio is a bit overlooked. But with the age, the head is gonna be proportional to the body, so you're gonna have mainly that to the first two, big head. So from 0 to 3 years to head tall, obviously if it's less than 2 or 3 years old, it's gonna be less than 2 heads. Now let's get to the next one, which is between 4 and 6 years. It's gonna be 3 heads tall. But now 3 heads at the end of the 5th or 6th year. Anything under that, but over 3 year is gonna be between 2 and 3. Now we get to the 7 to 11 year. It's about 5 heads, but personally I like to make it 5.5. Now 12 to 16 years is when puberty hits. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. So for those three, the first three, the height ratio should be equal to both genders, and from 12 to from the other two, the male will be slightly taller. So keep that in mind. So 12 to 16 years old, it's gonna be 7 heads, just because that time puberty hits, so they're getting taller at faster ratio. But sometimes puberty gets to 17 or even 18 years if it's late one. So that's why I put a 1 year gap between our last character, which is the fully grown one, 8 heads, and that's normally will be reached by the end of the 23rd year. So overall, you need to practice more to understand how the body works, but keeping in mind the head rules and things would help you a lot. Oh yeah, if you're wondering how tall should the neck be, it should be about 1/3 of a head, and should be slightly smaller than the weight of the head as whole. Now, anything else? The main area of concern. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about the joints of the arms, which are where in this area over here. They're gonna be at the fifth head. So you're gonna start expanding the muscle like so from the 5th head on till the 3rd one, where your arm should end. Now this area here is a bit more concerning. So let's just cover it again because that's the hardest one, at least in my opinion. The other ones are straightforward. The legs are half of the bodies, and the joints, um, they hold the two different sides equally at about 2 heads for each one. So that's not that big of a deal. So about the hips, you're gonna have hips expanding like so until they reach about 4.5 of the head. Then you're gonna slightly keep this in a straight line or a little curved until about 5 and 1/3. Then you're gonna start expanding it for the breasts, and that's it. Oh yeah, the same applies to the female, but make the cleavage go a bit over the lines. If your character is bouncy, of course. If it's flat, then feel free to not do that, but that would just add a bit more realism to it. So I hope I was helpful to you guys. If you like what you've seen and if you have more suggestions, let me know down in the comments. Please hit the like button, the share one, and if you haven't subscribed and you like it, just subscribe. It will help me a lot. So see you next time.